All right. In 1964, Elanine White is walking. So this woman, the Robert Taylor Projects, legendary. This place was a nightmare. Constructed in 1962. They built 28 high rises. All right. It was done because of the Great Migration and all this stuff going on, right? We leaving the South, people getting off the plantations, they tired of crop sharing. We heading north for greener pastures, and they building projects and they waiting on us. So here we are, but this was a total disaster, right? I mean, look at this. 95% of the people living there were unemployed. Everybody there, nobody worked. So they tell people coming up north there was no jobs. They putting them in these brand new apartments, and it all start falling apart faster than you can blink.
Ooh, that's crazy. 95% of the 27,000 were unemployed.
27,000 people in these 28 buildings. So 28 buildings, almost 1,000 people per building. That could show you the scope of how big this place was.
Was this?
It was a plantation.
This sound like the Carter from freaking New Jack City.
Chicago Robert Taylor Projects.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
So I'm gonna let this go. This is wild. But that's the crux of it. So fair use. We're gonna mine through this.
White is a Chicago housewife, mother of 6 children. Before urban renewal, she lived in a slum. Now she inhabits a new world, a world.
And this where people were living before that. Shout out to where we come from. And they got the holler. Some people were living in slums, and then they built projects all over the nation. It was the HUD. It was the HUD agency. So, it was the low income housing, the HUD, and they started building this stuff. They were anticipating blacks moving north. And this is part of it. They can't move to our neighborhoods, white folks, redlining. You can't come buy a house. But we built projects for y'all in every city in the country. We got a place for y'all. So this is where it starts.
And it seemed glorious, as Mr. X said. Our projects morphed from what was called the holla. And I've seen pictures that, because I didn't believe it until I saw the pictures, but my mom and them talked about it. They were wooden shacks with potbelly stoves in the middle with dirt floors.
And I see y'all in the thing saying, this is a mother of 6 kids. Even back then, where is the man?
Shout out to my mom.
Don't know. Could he have passed away in the war? Who knows?
No.
Of concrete and glass. It is clean and free of rats. Her new home has heat in the winter and rows of open galleries to catch the summer breeze. Like many other residents of Robert Taylor homes, Mrs. White knows that the project is, physically, a vast improvement over the slums. Yet, like other tenants, she feels that within the project's great high-rise buildings, she is struggling with a new enemy.
Anyone that is passing a high-rise project and looking in from the outside, it seems like a beautiful home, a clean home, and a lovely place to live in. But I live inside of a high-rise in Chicago, and I know the atmosphere that I am living in. There's so many people in the high-rise. There are 10 families to a floor. There are 154 to 56 families to one building. To each family, there are from 2 to 10 children. You go out to get groceries, you come up on the elevator. You have to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes before you can get it.
You got to wait 20 minutes to get on the elevator. I mean, it got so bad in this place, like after the first year, everything stopped working. So the elevators weren't working, everything. You live on the 28th floor. Elevator, it's only this is the 60s. So you could imagine it wasn't much, but it's always broke. They slap these places up. Like Mr. Walker said, y'all see her background, the cinder block walls. This what it was and what it is.
Bunkers. The only thing the projects is good for is a post-apocalyptic storehouse and safe house. Because everything is cinder blocks, man. Could halfway protect you from a light drone strike. That's my theory. But other than that, it's a prison. Look at that. That's what we grew up with. Cinder block walls. You know what that do to your spirit?
Man. So I'm going to get you in. Get you in first. I know you came up to get Brother Q in. What you got?
Yeah, I came up when y'all was talking about the gentrification. I just wanted to say, with the gentrification, a lot of people had complaints and problems with it, but those same people, as soon as they get a little money, they move straight up out of there. Let's keep it real. They act like they love the hood so much and all that stuff. As soon as they get two nickels to rub together, they up out of there. Don't look back, don't visit. I'm one of those people. Let's make it clear. I don't feel safe around there. I look like a soft target, even though I keep that thing on me. But I don't want to have to use it on a hungry person. So everybody act like they got this great love for the hood, but can't wait to get away from it. I think it's fake outrage. Gentrification. You can't get mad at people for taking something that y'all had for 60 years and making it look like something in 5 years. You had your time. You had your run. It's just like this one time I had this car, couldn't figure out what to do with it. I sold it to somebody. They took it, they fixed it, they painted it gold, got the interior done, and I saw it ride around the city looking fly as hell, and the girls was jocking it, and I felt a little salty. I was jealous of this. Felt a little envious because that's the car I own out here getting all this shine. But when I had it, I didn't do nothing, I couldn't do nothing with it. And I had to mature and realize how stupid that was of me to be mad at said dude. And that's the same thing with this gentrification stuff. Now on to these projects. I get it. My people, it's cool not to forget the past, but we gotta hop out the DeLorean. Because right now, 2025, if you still living like this, what you doing? This lady, this beautiful queen in this video, I get her. She had no choice. It's different times. I understand 100%. She ain't ugly. Don't put that picture. She is beautiful. That's a nice.
No, I said that.
She had no problem. I get her, but it's 2025 now. What's going on? What's going on?
Exactly.
But I agree. And just for the context, if y'all just coming in or people have been here, right before we pulled this up, we were talking about some project in Baltimore and present day 2025 where the same stuff is still going on. So like you said, we got to get out of it.
I have a question. Okay. I want to say one thing. I think one thing Black people need to do, and this is just my opinion, going off of what Q said, is parents need to stop letting the government be their parents. That's just one step, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's a good point. What you got, Sister Ebony, before I let it go?
Yeah, that to go off with what Q and Classy just said, like the family structure. Let's start with the projects where men weren't even allowed to be in the households. So the men, in order for the women to live there, so men weren't, or either they were snuck in or whatever, they weren't supposed to be there. So what happened? The women had to go off to work. And what happened to all those kids that were at home? They were running the streets, getting into trouble and doing all that because nobody was at home in the projects watching them. And that's a huge problem. We have to get back to families. There's no more pushing the men out just to get housing and all that. We learned that was a bad deal, you know, and the effects of that is what we're going through today. Now, Bonquisha, they don't need a man. They don't want a man, or they don't think that they're important. And it all started from this whole project situation and them not allowing men to be in the home. So to what you guys are saying, we have to get back to families, both mother and father in the home, raising the children, gearing them in the right direction. And that's what we need to get back to.
To each family, there are from 2. With this many people around, when the mornings you wake up, there's children up and down the gallery with the noise, knocking on your door, a couple of neighbors arguing on the gallery. At night when you go to bed, it's the same thing. You feel that it's too many families involved, too many faces that you see. You can't go in or out of the building unless you're looking into many faces. You can't go to the chute to empty your garbage unless there's a million faces in front of you. And I wonder, who are my children playing with? Who are their friends? I wonder if I can raise my boys and girls here and they can turn out to be the type of children and young men and ladies that I have always dreamed and hoped and prayed for them to be. You can't hang your pictures like you want to. The walls are rough. You still can't paint them what you want to paint them. Someone would think that living in a high-rise building with this many family that is involved, that you wouldn't be lonely. But I feel living in a high-rise building like this, that you are very much lonely. It makes me feel as if this is not my home. This is only a place where I sleep and pay my rent.
Well, here's the thing. You shouldn't be thinking permanent, right? But granted, like I said, this 1962, not many jobs, right? She got 6 kids. It was what it was. 95% of the people were unemployed. It's 27,000 people. This was so they all was dependent on the government. So how does the next generation even start to get ahead? We still fighting this 60 years later.
First step, stop having kids you can't afford.
Thank you.
When are we going to stop having kids that we can't afford? I don't want to hear none of your poverty tales when you got 5, 6 kids. One, I get it. Accidents happen. I'm one of those brothers where none of my kids were accidents. I got 4 kids, same woman, been married 22 years. But I get it. Clubs get shot up and you get in accidents. But once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, like, come on. You needed assistance with the first 2. Well, and the thing is, a lot of the technology and resources didn't exist in 1960, but we still got people 5, 6, 7, 8 kids in 2025 when there's like all kinds of forms of birth control and all kinds of different condoms, and it just got options, yo. So it's like we people want to just live how they want, then do these sob stories and woe is me. Like this place you live in, was it discounted living, or what's the story behind this place? Was it budget living? Did they pay less than expected or normal? Because if so, you get what you pay for.
Well, they didn't pay anything. Like I said, this was low income housing. It's come from the hood. This is really systemic. All right. Like I say, slavery ended. All right. Jim Crow, all that. It's the Great Migration. You had 5, 6 million people move to the north at one time. And they say, okay, they coming, but they can't live near us. And we ain't giving them no jobs, but we will build housing and, figure out a way to pay for this stuff. And they did.
That's my point. You can't expect too much out of darn near free shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I've been called a coon several times in the chat since I've been out here, but I'm okay with it because when the N-words call me a coon, I know I'm doing something right and I'm living right. You know what I'm saying? And I know I take accountability for my action. I'm okay with being a coon for making good choices and good decisions.
Coon to the moon. Coon to the moon.
I don't want to be a victim.
That's a good point. Do you know what's crazy is a lot of people don't understand free always come with the price. That's why they call it free dumb, because you were dumb thinking that free doesn't come with the price. That's what I tell people all the time. It comes with a huge price. If I'm giving something free, I'm going to expect something from you. It's just human nature, even if it's just a gratuity of it.
And why are we always called coons for holding people accountable for bad decisions?
Because you can't relate. You can't relate. You lost your black card. That's
the Great Migration. If you all moving up, I don't want to be a sharecropper no more. Y'all all moving up. And when y'all come up here, they putting y'all in this brick building. I'm gonna take my behind back. I made a bad decision. I need to go back.
Well, first they was
something out back there.
So the buildings weren't ready. They, as we seen, they moved into the slums, sort of like they was. And then they say they was watching the buildings being built, living in slums, rubbing their hands like, okay. They said, we're gonna have heat, electricity. They watched them build it as they were living in the slums.
Like you always say, Gavin X, it's unfortunate. It's a bad decision. They were a lot of bad decisions that our people made before. Like I said, you blaming people back in the 1960s. Yes, I'm blaming people. When they brought crack to the neighborhoods, nobody told you to do it. It happened, but nobody made you do it. You were depressed. You didn't have a job. You hustled to get money for crack, though.
What is
it's a lot of bad decisions that was made, man, that could have been avoided.
What
I'll
did
say this:
Stephanie
we are
say?
seeing two different things. We got to be able to distinguish present day from 1962. I think
That's
we
true.
are.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
think we having a hard time up here right now, blurring this all together. There's two totally different things going on here. But I'll let
Facts.
you get in, Ebony. What you got?
To Jay Tillman, and you guys were talking about the coon thing, and I think the difference is there's nothing wrong with you being progressive in whatever field you're in. Even if you want to move to a nice neighborhood, that doesn't make you a coon. The coon reference is based on, like, it's kind of like a tether. If you're undermining the progression of Black Americans as a whole, or Black people as a whole, then you indeed would be called a coon. So it's not necessarily because you made it or whatever. That's not what it is. It's undermining the progression of the community as a whole.
I've never heard somebody call a drug dealer a coon.
Not one time.
Nope, because they're the cool guys. You about to trigger me again.
I've never heard somebody call a pimp a coon.
And they
Pimping
definitely
out
undermining
customers.
progression for sure.
And they're doing exactly what you said, Ebony Dean. I've never heard anybody, the stick up kid, I never heard anybody call them a coon.
Yeah.
Those are coons. They're directly impacting the community that they live in.
Yeah,
You're
and
absolutely
If I
usually,
get gain wealth and move out of that community, then I'm a coon because I'm looking back like y'all need to do better.
and usually what I've seen is usually companies, when you call out something that they're doing as detrimental, and then they call you a coon. That's what I've seen. So if you point out something that they're doing that's bad, then you're a coon because you're not going along with the group.
Think about the people that support victimhood and giving people disclaimers and co-signing to their victim mentality, or the person being like, yo, you're a grown man, you're a grown woman, you're not a victim. Put your big boy pants on and get out of this. Which one is really more problematic? The person like, yeah, man, you a victim, we a victim, we all victims, we ain't got no choice in this. It is what it is. We are not the architects of our own life. Or the people that be like, yo, what you doing? What's really going on? Let's break these chains. Let's get up out of this. You can do better, be better, become better. We all can as a people. You ain't got to live like this. The man ain't holding you down. It ain't nothing you can't do. Even if it's a little harder than your pale skin counterpart, you still can fucking do it. You just got to push on through. But that's the coon, not the person that's being like, man, just you stuck, bro. It is what it is. The man got his boot to your neck, and it ain't nothing you can do. Those the people they love those people.
I think
enablers.
I think the problem is that we've allowed the worst part of us to be the loudest in our community. That's the reason why we have these problems. Because I mean, Lord knows I've been called that. You a coon, but they'll be the first one to ask for $1.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your point and everything, I don't co-sign drug dealing, and that's not all our people are drug dealers or whatever. There's a lot of great people in the community, and I'm not co-signing any of that behavior, but there are certain drug dealers that do good things for the community. I mean, besides, I get what you guys are saying, but a lot of them feed the homeless and do different things. I'm not co-signing. Okay, I'm not co-signing the behavior, but I'm just saying there's more to our people than just drug dealing and the degeneracy. There's so much more to it than.
I'm not saying that that's what our community is based off of, drug dealers. I'm just saying I've never heard someone call a drug dealer a coon, where that was literally the definition of the person you were talking about, somebody who does something detrimental to the community.
Me
leaving the community, okay, it might be a net negative if I take my money out of the community, but I didn't negatively affect my community directly by pumping drugs or violence into it. So I've never heard somebody say, man, y'all some coons out here on the corner, man. Why don't y'all get some jobs? Get a job.
I'll say it come down to your deeds. Your good deeds definitely got to outweigh your bad deeds. So when it comes to what Ebony's saying, you can get 10 points for your good deeds, but negative 50 points for your bad deeds. Now you negative 40 in the hole. So there's still no positive from it.
Because if I'm out here and I got like I got like 5 baby mamas, right? And I'm just out here doing my thing. And I'm on my next girlfriend. She ain't had my kid yet. I got 5 baby mamas. Each of them got 2 to 4 other kids all different fathers as well. Like what's
hood
that?
heroes. They hood heroes, and the kids
Like,
look up to them.
and nobody's gonna hold them accountable.
It's the culture. It is the absolute culture, man. You know,
I've been told I like men because I don't have kids. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I grew up with street pharmacist relatives, like big time. And there you're right. Like I seen it. None of it was ever called detrimental to their community by their people or coon. But shout out to my girl, may she rest in peace. I went off to college and she called me an Oreo. Black on the outside, white in the middle. And I'm just like, I said, God dang, Gamma, because I dare to be educated. And that's our culture. Again, me and Miss X come from the depths of the hood. Our projects look similar to this. There ain't one person on this panel or in this chat that can say their struggle was greater than ours. And I say that with pride because thank God. You know what I mean?
Living in a high-rise building with X Mr's family, not my home. This is only a place where I sleep and pay my rent. It's just like you're closed in a corner with no way out, nowhere to go.
The chairman of the Housing Authority is Charles Swibel.
We at the Chicago Housing Authority have interpreted the rules and regulations in regard to public housing to mean that we are to provide safe, decent and sanitary housing, which means good housing, but not luxurious housing. Some of the individual complaints that I, as well as the people on the outside, have heard about the residents not being able to paint walls, not being able to hang pictures on the walls, are a slight over-exaggeration. We do give our tenants now a choice of 5 colors. This is an evolution. You must remember that these people have come out of slums. They have brought with them some of the slum-bred ideas, some of the slum-bred hostilities. In regard to hanging a picture on the wall, all we ask of them is that they notify the manager so we can give them the proper hook. We don't want to make it so comfortable and so ideal for them that they wish to remain in public housing. We are trying to get them upgraded, if you will.
There you go. That's the net of it. He said, we are not trying to make this so damn comfortable that they want to stay here for 40 years. All right. That's why y'all see the brick walls. You can't hang stuff. They complaining we can't hang pictures because the brick walls. And he said, y'all can hang them. Y'all just need the appropriate tools that we can give y'all. And they say we can't paint the walls. And he said, no, now there's 5 colors you can choose from. And this is the hood. So the government say, we're going to give y'all this money to figure out this solution for these ninjas. Build us some housing. And they give these people the money and they provide housing.
You know how exhausting that got to be to give people affordable homes, and they see they're complaining about not being able to paint the wall and put up signs. Like, shut the hell up. Like, honestly, if I were to rent my house out, I'm not gonna just let you paint the walls. You won't be allowed to paint the walls, one wall pink, one wall green, whatever you want to do in my house, because you might not be there that long. And I want
do it anyway.
Unless you're gonna promise or contractually promise to paint it back as it fucking was before you leave. So to want to rent something, and out of all the problems in the world, especially in 1960, you worry about some damn paint on a wall. People trying not to get tied behind a truck and dragged behind that joker. And you worried about paint, man?
Did it sound like this guy sounded so welcoming? Like, hey, I'm happy that you're here. He's sounding like, hey, you're lucky we're even giving this to you.
And they are, though.
They
are. I don't have to give you shit. You're lucky I'm giving it to you.
And also,
that's it. So could there be just a little bit of some ill intent happening behind the scenes? I don't know. I just think it wasn't say here.
Pay your own rent.
Have this so you to be. I'm simply saying, because I don't have all the information, is that it's not like he's saying, hey, we want to do what we can so you could go ahead and move on and go up from where you are to the next level to middle lower than the middle class. It sounds like that, in my opinion, that hey, these folks are coming here. We gotta put them somewhere. Here we go. Here's some bricks.
He's like some beggar.
That is true too.
He met some beggar girl. I'm hungry. I need something to eat. I need something to eat.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say
get
this.
us a Whataburger. She like,
We got to take the context in. So the context is this is 1962. So it was not well during this moment. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were still alive. We must understand what was going on in the temperature of the country. So I agree with you. They were not welcoming, but at no time in history before that were they ever welcoming. So,
this one point I want to say, and I might have to end up rolling on out. Always love being on here, guys and ladies. But one thing I noticed there in the chat, and also from people's own personal stories, some a little bit of my own as well, is that besides the family, it was also working families. People had to come together, bring the money together to make that next move. So similar, like what I have to agree with Uncle Streaming on is that hey, it's a rough situation, but this has to be only temporary. We have to work with what we have to go ahead and build, and then move on out of those projects, move out of those slums, out of those hoods. And that's what I heard from other people in the chat where they said, "Oh, but my family came together. We went from one place." Jay said it's something similar. They built up, they stacked, they kept things quiet, and they moved up out of there. But that's what I'm gonna end up finishing up on, guys. Man, I hope you all have a great evening. Go working families, man. We got this.
For sure. Appreciate you, brother. And yeah, shout out to Jay. And you guys talking about moving up. My family did not. My family remained in the projects. But go ahead, sister.
And I think that was his point,
Let me
Mr.
get
Walker.
you first, real quick. Hold on, brother Q. Go ahead. What you got?
Oh, I just was going to go what B Streaming said. And just because they are down bad and living in the projects does not mean I can understand the paint. Maybe it had to be a specific color, because I know when we lived in our project, we can only paint. It was like that eggshell. There was a couple little colors that you can paint, but there's nothing wrong with hanging pictures up. Like, these people have to live. They don't have to walk around looking like they're in a prison. They could put a picture up of the family or something. So there's nothing wrong with you decorating your house just because you're in the projects. Like, come on.
And
my house, my rules.
I will say those cinder blocks,
right.
They definitely put those up so you couldn't hang pictures. Yeah, he was lying on that. Yeah, because they ain't back then. That, like I said, this was 1960. What those 3M hooks with those didn't exist back then.
Yeah, they're not going on
the only way you getting anything in that wall is with a hammer drill that my mama used to get her pictures hung. Yeah.
And he did. I'm gonna let this keep playing because he did go on to say something about it. Let me see.
The people on the outside have heard about the residents not being able to paint walls, not being able to hang pictures on the walls, are a slight over-exaggeration. We do give our tenants now a choice of 5 colors. This is an evolution. You must remember that these people have come out of slums. They have brought with them some of the slum-bred ideas, some of the slum-bred hostilities. In regard to hanging a picture on the wall, all we ask of them is that they notify the manager so we can give them the proper hook. We don't want to make it so comfortable and so ideal for them that they wish to remain.
That's what he said. Notify the manager if you want to hang pictures. We'll give you the proper hook. So maybe they'll come in and tap something in the wall. Who knows? But like you say, with 27,000 people, they obviously ain't getting to everybody. So probably was because I see Rashad said his family had pictures. So clearly, they ain't getting to all y'all, and that was unfortunate.
But he also said something, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop and let Q go. He also said something at the end of that sentence. We're not trying to make it comfortable for you to stay here.
And that's the point I wanted to opine on, because like men and women are typically different, and if you give a woman option to nest, and if they nest and make it a home, then that's when the comfortability kicks in, that he is saying that he don't want to have them to feel like that's a home. Those places were never meant for them to be homes. They were just a domicile to lay their heads and hopefully move on. It's not the housing authority's responsibility for them to go get jobs and stuff. The housing authority was just to provide them a domicile. But for them to better their lives, that's their responsibility, and maybe some of those other organizations that had jobs and stuff. But if you give a person an ability to stay in a place, they will stay there. If you look at Maslow's needs hierarchy, food, water, shelter, is a basic need that people go after. And if they can secure that need, they will secure it by any means. So if you allow them to stay there, they're going to stay there. And then some of these other stuff, other parts of the hierarchy, they want try to aspire to acquire, like safety and security. So in the housing authority, he said one thing I disagreed with him is that he said that provided safety. They don't provide safety because I don't think that they anticipated what the drugs and gangs and stuff would bring to those environments. I don't think they could even really anticipate that. You know what I mean? Because the drugs came on pretty fast and took over the inner cities, and it's amazing. I mean, you would have to have been there to remember. And I know some of you guys lived there, depending on your age. I'm just telling you, there was no safety in the projects, and so maybe he's saying that the houses were safe. I don't know, but
I think he meant safety from shelter. No. Safety from shelter in the elements. It ain't their job to protect you from your own people. So when he said safety, he meant you're not sleeping under the stars and you can't get just attacked outside and no dogs ain't gnawing on your feet at night. Safety, just a general safety of a home.
Yeah, and then also, one second, Ebony, and it also said, I don't know if you guys caught that one part, is that he was also saying that he don't want them to bring their slum habits into those new places. Did you guys catch that?
Yes. Yeah.
I did. I know exactly what he meant.
I agree with that too. I wouldn't rent to certain people. I wouldn't rent my home to certain people come from certain neighborhoods because I know they're gonna tear it up. They're gonna have broke down cars on the front lawn, cars dripping oil in my driveway, all that kind of stuff.
And did all that. We did all that. Like I said, we paint they painted the walls whatever color they want. They put holes in the walls. They had broke down cars out front. All that, shootouts in the hallways, the whole shebang.
Remember what the New Orleans refugees did to certain homes, apartment complexes, and hotels after Katrina? That's the kind of stuff he was talking about when he said he don't want you to bring when people live in a certain quality of stuff, they don't know how to take care of things because they didn't have things to take care of. That's all he was saying.
Yeah, Katrina was wild. Katrina was pure evil. That was evil.
What you got, Sister Ebony?
I think we're getting the times confused because we're talking about the 1960s here, and Gavin X already pointed on it. During that time, we were coming out, or segregation was still going on. Slavery was abolished. We were never living in slums after slavery and all that. The reason why a lot of families had to move to the projects is because they were getting redlined. They couldn't get loans for homes. They couldn't live in certain areas. So they put them in they're called projects for a reason. It was a project. And if they were trying to make sure that the families didn't stay there, then why were there so many stipulations about not having the men in the home, not being able to work and pass a certain amount of money with employment? They wanted you to stay there. So a lot of what he's saying is cap. It was never designed for you to come out of it. They wanted you in controlled spaces so that you wouldn't be in their areas. We were never living in slums, okay? We actually are fairly clean people. It doesn't matter if we're in the projects or not. Our homes are clean. We're not dirty people. We don't live like, certain people from third world countries and stuff. Overall, we are clean. So a lot of that stuff, it doesn't conflate to what it is today because we never came from a slum area. So I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that
I can see it from both sides, but how can you deny the conditions that those people put them? Like, I understand they put you in a cinder block high rise where the elevators broke down and everything like that. Nobody forced you to cannibalize your own people. Nobody forced anybody to throw anybody off of the balconies to where they had to cage it. Like, you can still take care of something even though it's not the most ideal situation. So I understand what you're saying, Ebony, but that's like, if that's the case, then why did they destroy? Like, all of us come from different places. I told you.
I'll see this, Jay. I'll say we are thinking in modern time. I keep saying we are thinking with our 2025 brains, trying to reason with people back in 1960. Two totally different times. You have to put yourself into place. You can't sit here and say why when we know 95% of them were unemployed. They had no money, no opportunities. So
that still means you have to destroy your environment that you are living
there
in.
wasn't no internet. They couldn't content create. They couldn't go to college. White man has no plan for us. That's why we keep telling y'all to stop depending on them. The dependence of it, we are showing y'all 1960 what it looks like when you depend on them.
Yeah, that's true.
Remove the dependence, or it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I hope you guys know that I'm not trying to discredit what they had to go to get there. I'm just using this as a means to learn. So we're supposed to learn from the past, correct? And so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
looking to learn from and not repeat it. I had a conversation with my younger daughter, and I think it's apropos to what we're talking about right here. Because I was telling her when I was young, we had the food stamps. You guys remember the food stamp books, right? And it used to be a level of shame when you pull those food stamps out, right? And what happened? The people complained about the shame that was affixed to people with those food stamp books, and so they changed it, and they put it on cards so that to make them not feel shame. And then once they put it on cards, that still wasn't enough. I want to be able to buy what everybody else can buy, even though I got food stamps. And now you can go to certain restaurants and places and use food stamps in convenience stores. So the only thing that I look at about what he said, for whatever reason he said it, if you give a person an inch, they will keep asking for more. And so, you know, making a standard, say, hey, it needs to stay this way to keep someone uncomfortable so that they will want to move out of it. And some of us did. I mean, I grew up with, like I told you guys, I grew up drinking and eating cereal with water. I had the red and black label stuff, the powdered eggs and everything. And it satisfied me to keep me alive, but it also made me want something more and not want to stay there. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, some people don't. And I don't judge everybody the same, because not everybody has the same mental acumen that we, everybody's mental acumen is different. And so not everybody's going to have a great life, but I think there's a certain level of esteem that comes from working your hardest and acquiring stuff from your own efforts instead of being given to you, because you don't want entitlement to creep in by just constantly receiving something from the government and not doing it for yourself.